is Saturday, May 16, 2026, and this is the High Road Logistics and Leadership. I'm Buck Reynolds, and I still say you can't trust a driver who doesn't eat truck stop rollers.
This is Dan Miller.
I'm Elena Rossi.
And I'm Jules Sterling. We have a great show for you today.
Well, look, we've got a packed grid today, folks. Yesterday, we were reeling from that Supreme Court ruling on broker liability. You know, the Montgomery versus Carib transport mess that Elena says is setting the industry on fire.
Because it is, Buck. It's an absolute liability bonfire.
I mean, you're not wrong. And we saw FedEx jumping into the robot game with those figure AI humanoids. But today, the hum in the server room here is all about the Golden Triangle in Texas and some serious legal gymnastics over tariffs.
It's a busy one, Buck. We're looking at Volvo and DSV taking the training wheels off autonomous freight. And bottom line, we've got a stay on those Section 122 tariffs that's keeping everyone's landed cost models in a total scramble.
It's a fascinating mix of the robots are here and the lawyers are still arguing, right?
Speaking of robots, let's just, here's the deal. I mean, we got to talk about what's happening on I-45. Volvo and DSV just officially kicked off commercial autonomous runs between Dallas and Houston.
And the market loved it. Aurora, the guys behind the driver tech, their stock shot up 16%.
16%? Just because a computer drove a truck on a straight line in Texas? Look, my thing is, it is Interstate 45. That road is a meat grinder on a Tuesday afternoon. You were telling me these new automated trucks are ready for that? Honestly, the name they picked sounds like a brand of Swedish yogurt.
Actually, Buck, they've logged over 1 million miles in testing. And while there's still a safety driver in the seat for now, the intent is, you see, a fully driverless depot-to-depot operation. It's not a pilot anymore. They're calling it production level.
It's about reliability, Buck. DSV is a global giant. They don't put their name on something just for the cool factor. They're looking at a 24/7 autonomous ecosystem to solve the labor crunch.
Exactly. It's like, here's the play. It's like having an all-pro quarterback who never gets tired and doesn't need a bathroom break. If they can nail the Dallas to Houston corridor, which is basically the Super Bowl of freight lanes, they can scale this anywhere.
I mean, sure, it's a straight shot. But can the Aurora driver smell a hub pulling grease? Can it hear a tire starting to delaminate? The thing is, you're replacing 27 years of my road feel with a bunch of LiDAR sensors that get confused by a heavy mist.
I suppose that's where the operational management piece comes in, Buck. Volvo isn't just selling a truck. They're selling a system that monitors those mechanical failures via software. Complacency is the danger here, though. If the safety driver stops paying attention because the silicon is doing the heavy lifting, that's where the catastrophe happens.
Right? But think about the efficiency for the shippers. If I can tell my retail clients that their freight is moving on a predictable, tech-backed lane, the transparency goes through the roof.
Look, the bottom line is revenue. Aurora surging 16% tells you everything. The money's betting on the code, not the cab over.
Speaking of code, we really need to look at what's happening with AI integration across the board. Did you see the report from the Coupa Inspire conference?
Oh, I was all over that. They're moving into the system of action phase.
Wait, explain that to me, Dan. We've been talking about AI for years, sort of. What makes this different?
Okay, so here's the play. Most AI up until now was just a system of insight. It told you, hey, your freight is late. Big deal. What Coupa is doing with Compose and their Navi Agent Studio is building autonomous agents that actually, do things.
Like what? Picking up my dry cleaning?
I wish, Buck. No, we're talking about AI agents that monitor supply chain risks and actually compare supplier bids. And get this, execute procurement autonomously. They're saying it reduces planning cycles from weeks to hours.
Actually, that's exactly where I get nervous. Gartner is reporting that up to 40% of these AI projects are going to hit a data wall. They're calling it classification debt.
Classification debt? That sounds like something I'd find in the back of my closet, right?
It's worse. It's when your data is so poorly organized and classified that the AI can't make sense of it. If your system of action is acting on garbage data, you're just accelerating the rate of failure. You see, these agents need a logistics Bible of clean data to function. Without it, you're just giving a high-speed car to someone who's blindfolded.
Sounds like every four-wheeler in a snowstorm.
Look, even the USPS is proving the data haters wrong. They reported massive on-time delivery gains during the holiday surge because they finally refined their performance management data. If the post office, the ultimate legacy network, can turn the ship around with data, there's no excuse for the private carriers.
Well, it's also about the human plus AI model, isn't it? Coupa bought that company Rossum to handle intelligent document processing. It's supposed to save billions by automating invoices, but you still need an account manager like me to handle the oops moments when the machine misreads a handwritten bill of lading.
Exactly. My thing is, if we lose the human intuition, we lose the safety net. Actually, while we're talking about safety nets and high-stakes operations, I want to pivot to the defense sector. Seko Logistics just made a huge move in the EMEA region, Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Seko? I thought they were all about e-commerce and sneakers.
They were, but they just partnered with StratDef to go deep into government, space, and defense logistics. This is a strategic modernization move. Jeremy H. Hart is leading it. He's a 24-year vet. The big deal here is localized security.
Oh, I see where this is going. If you want to move military gear or satellite parts in Europe, you can't just use a standard U.S. clearance, right?
Exactly, Jules. You need in-market operational control and local clearances. The contested logistics environment we're seeing globally, with the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz issues we discussed yesterday, it's forcing commercial firms to act like military contractors.
It's a massive growth engine. The U.S. Navy just unveiled a plan for over 450 vessels by the early 2030s, including nuclear-powered ships. That's a lot of spare parts, a lot of specialized transport, and a lot of, bottom line, it's a lot of money.
I spent 27 years hauling steel, and I can tell you, hauling for the military is a different beast. You don't just check in at the gate. Everything's a crime scene until proven otherwise.
That's why I like it, Buck. Precision. Compliance isn't a suggestion there. It's the baseline. Brian Bork at Seko said it himself. Customers need assured execution now. The days of good enough shipping are over when you're moving defense assets.
It's almost like the Golden Fleet idea. This massive naval modernization is going to trickle down into the commercial trucking world because the demand for high security, high visibility freight is going to spike.
It's the ball control offense of logistics. If you can handle the security requirements of a nuclear carrier part, you can handle anything. It's a huge moat for companies like Seko.
If they can manage the risk. But let's be real. Contested logistics is just a fancy way of saying everything is harder and more dangerous now.
Hey, before we move on to the tariff mess, I want to take a quick second. Strategic logistics, the stuff we're talking about with Seko and Volvo, requires world-class engineering. This show is actually powered by the stack developed by Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media. He's the architect behind the code that keeps our broadcast running smooth. If you want to support the guy making this all possible, visit our Patreon at patreon.com/neuralnetworkmedia. You can get a free trial and even grab our daily briefing PDF so you can follow along with the stats we're throwing around.
Eric's a good man, even if he uses too much of that silicon magic for my taste.
All right, let's talk about these tariffs. Jules, you're the one who keeps the VPs of supply chain from jumping off ledges. What's the latest on Section 122?
It's a legal roller coaster, Buck. So a lower court, the Court of International Trade, actually ruled that the 10% global import surcharges were unlawful. They said the administration exceeded its authority. Everyone in retail started celebrating, thinking the costs were going to drop.
And then the referee stepped in and called it back.
Exactly. The appeals court issued an administrative stay on May 12th. That means the 10% tariff stays in full effect while the government appeals. So all those landed cost models, they're still sort of bleeding 10% off the top.
Look, this is a nightmare for procurement. If you're a guy like O'Reilly Automotive, and we've been watching them, they're surviving this because they've gone heavy on private label dominance. They aren't just buying from international brands. They're controlling their own supply chain and diversifying where they get their parts.
O'Reilly. I bought many a belt at 2 a.m. from those guys. But the thing is, the bottom line is the consumer pays for that 10% surcharge.
Actually, Buck, the CIT court said the government failed to identify a specific balance of payments deficit. They were just using a general trade deficit as an excuse for the tax. It's a technicality, but in the world of indemnity and trade law, you see, technicalities are everything.
The stay is only until July 24th, unless something changes. But carriers and brokers have to keep accounting for this. If you're quoting a lane and you don't account for that 10% tariff on the incoming goods, your shipper's margins are going to evaporate.
It's a high-stakes chess game, Jules. You've got shippers rushing goods in before the July deadline, just in case the stay is lifted or the tariffs are extended. It's creating this artificial demand spike at the ports, similar to what we saw with the Strait of Hormuz news.
Complacency is the precursor to catastrophe. If shippers assume these tariffs are going away, they'll get caught flat-footed in August. My thing is, stay liquid, stay diversified.
Easier said than done when you're an owner-operator just trying to cover your diesel bill.
Well, speaking of diesel, or the lack thereof, let's talk about the real meat of the day. Hyundai is taking the Exient hydrogen truck commercial in Canada. And I gotta say, this one actually has my attention.
Oh, here's the play. This isn't a pilot anymore, Buck. Hyundai Translead is setting up a full-blown dealership network. They just signed Bredner Trailers in Ontario as their first dedicated hydrogen truck dealer.
See, the thing is, I've been hard on the electric trucks. Those batteries are too heavy. You lose all your payload just carrying the gas tank, so to speak. But this Exient, it's a fuel cell.
What are the stats, Dan? I mean, can it actually handle a long-haul run?
Get this, 450-mile range. And the refueling time? Under 20 minutes, right? You compare that to a battery electric vehicle, a BEV, where you're sitting for hours to get a full charge. 20 minutes is a coffee and a sandwich. That's a game changer for Class 8.
And it has a 350-kilowatt motor. Hyundai says they've already got 11 units road-proven in BC through the Hydrogen Ports project. It's real-world data, not just a laboratory experiment.
I suppose the payload paradox is the real winner here. Since hydrogen fuel cell systems are significantly lighter than massive battery packs, these trucks can actually carry a full load of freight. From a risk management and revenue perspective, you see, that makes them much more viable for regional drayage.
Here's the deal. I mean, look, I'm still a diesel guy at heart. But if I have to go green, I'd rather do it with a truck that refills in 20 minutes and can actually pull a hill without wheezing. My only worry is the infrastructure. You can't just find hydrogen at every Pilot or Flying J yet.
That's why the dealership move with Bredner is so smart. You have to build the ecosystem first. And it's happening alongside leadership changes in the legacy world, too. Kenworth Sales Company, one of the biggest dealer groups in the U.S., just named Kyle Carwile as president.
I know Carwile. He's a veteran. He's navigating a market that's becoming multi-state and tech-heavy. To see these legacy dealer groups leveling up while Hyundai moves in with hydrogen, it feels like we're finally seeing the new breed of the industry take shape.
As long as the safety protocols keep pace, hydrogen is, actually, quite safe. But it requires specialized training for the techs and the drivers. You don't want a silicon driver from the Volvo story trying to troubleshoot a fuel cell stack on the side of the road.
Excuse me, robot. Do you have a 9/16 wrench?
I'd pay to see that. But seriously, this Hyundai move into Canada feels like the tipping point. 450 miles is enough to do most regional hauls and get back to a central hub for a 20-minute refill. That's a system of action I can actually get behind.
Bottom line, Buck, the payload penalty for electric is the fumble that hydrogen is recovering for at touchdown. It's all about the cargo capacity over distance.
And it keeps the relationships moving. If the truck is on the road more than it's at a charging station, everyone is happier, from the shipper to the driver.
Well, that's all for today's High Road. From Volvo's Autona runs in Texas to the 450-mile range on Hyundai's new hydrogen rig, it's clear the industry is moving toward a much more automated, but also more complex future.
Bottom line, keep your data clean or your AI is going to fumble.
And remember, insurance always wins in the end.
See ya on the next one.
Keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down.